Now, if you struggle with these shots that are just off the green, and they're really only just off the green, you could almost putt it, then you need to watch this video. Andy Gorman-ThePASS, the putting and short game specialist, helping you make the right choice today around the greens. Now, the word right choice, righteous, comes to mind. Could be a sermon. The sermon according to Andy Gorman-ThePASS, the putting and short game specialist. Now, what I'm here to do is I'm not here to preach. I'm here to give you insight as to how to play some of the easiest shots that ultimately we end up playing really difficult. We make them hard work. So what are we trying to achieve? Now, a good shot, let's put context to this. A good shot would be inside a club length, and most tour players will acknowledge that if they get inside a club length, they know they're going to convert the shot or the next shot into a single putt, because we know statistically 99% of putts are holed from inside of 3 feet. So if we can get a little bit closer than that, we get that 99 becomes 100. So, you know, that'd be great. But we're not PGA Tour players. So what we've got to do is play the shot that's appropriate. And the first thing I want you to recognise is the fact that this is a chip shot still. We're not pitching the golf ball all the way there. Can we? Yes. Should we? Absolutely not. Leave that to the tour players if that's what they want to do. But ultimately what we've got to do is establish a relatively flat spot to land the golf ball and then pace it off. Why? Come with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're on the front section of the green. Now, there's a little bit of upslope here. So that's going to influence my club choice. When I was standing a little bit closer to this shot and, you know, 3 to 4 paces was going to be landing a little further onto the green, I could use almost any club I wanted. I chose my pitching wedge to do that. It's 47 degrees aloft. It's a proper pitching wedge. Some pitching wedges are 42, 43 these days. That's a 9-iron in my old book and nearly an 8-iron. But essentially, I've got a club here that's got enough loft to send the golf ball 5, 6 paces onto the green. This is what I call the 5-yard swing, but it's the extremity of chipping. Chipping for me is the club head doesn't get above the knee. So if you see from the camera that it does, then feel free to comment below. And if you comment, you better like and subscribe. But I'll take a little bit of credit for a creative below the knee. Now, if you're watching this video because you need some help with your chipping, and at the end of it you want me to send you a chipping blueprint on the things that you need to be working on, then email me, golf@andygorman.com, and I will gladly send them over to you. At the end of the day, I've got 35 years of coaching experience and 50 years of playing experience and observational experience from spending years upon years studying the best players in the world, playing literally 5 minutes from here. Yes, the Belfry is literally just 5 minutes from where I'm located, and I've spent many an hour shadowing some of the very best players in the world. Seve, Langer, Faldo, Woosnam, the guys of the great 80s and 90s, some of the best players that ever played in the European Ryder Cup side. Watched what they were doing, studied it, and built a bulletproof chipping system for you to be able to learn the game as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the other side of this video. Now, that allows me to move the club around about 1.5 yards. And if I move that times 3, so 1.5, 2, that's 3, and another 1, a third one, that's 4.5, that's going to give me around about a 5-yard shot. So this is what I call the 5-yard swing. That's the movement and the speed that's going to help me to land the golf ball around about 5 paces in front of me. And then I've got a reasonable amount of loft on the club that will allow me to carry the golf ball towards the hole by allowing it to roll at that point. Now, could I change loft? Yes, I could. I could use something with a little bit more loft. Why would I do that? Well, I can get a little bit quicker and a little bit more aggressive, but I do run the risk of putting some spin on the ball. That's not necessarily a good thing when I'm trying to roll the golf ball another 5 or 6 paces beyond where it lands. and it is going to land in the upslope. So let's see what happens. So that's now come up a little bit shorter. I've hit it more aggressively, but it's come up shorter. That's the spin element. So sometimes we can play the right shot. Now I've got to drive it in a little bit harder. It's run 8, 9 feet past the hole, but I'm not making the right choice. Back to righteous again, because I'm adding a dimension that I don't need to equate. In other words, I'm landing the golf ball on an upslope that will cushion the blow, and it needs to release, but I'm adding spin by using more loft. This is my 53 wedge. So as much as I would ordinarily jump to that, and this is me, I'm just showing what I would ordinarily do, my right choice here would be to play either the pitching wedge or my 9-iron. Now, be mindful, my 9-iron has 44 degrees of loft. It is relatively low. It's almost a conventional 9-iron. Now if I make the same 5-yard swing, it does release. So the 9-iron's not really the right club in terms of loft. It's maybe a little too straight. I'd have to play a little softer, which I could. Brings the fringe into play, and now it's dug into the fringe a little bit, come up a little bit short, but it is actually okay. It would have probably got within about 3 to 4 feet. And now we're down to 85% conversion. So that's okay. It's almost the right shot, almost the right club. It's definitely the right shot, it's almost the right club. This is going to take some practice. And the reason why 9-iron is in play today is because we had quite a heavy downpour last night. The ground has softened up, and because of that, this would probably be the right choice, but I have to land it closer to the edge of the green, and so I don't have an awful lot of margin for error, and my margin would want to be about the length of a club in its entirety. So I'm going to land it either front edge or about a yard on. So I still favour the pitching wedge. I still favour my 47-degree wedge here. And so I can be firm enough, I don't have to be timid with it, and it's not going to get away from me. Even though I had the club face slightly closed on that, which turned it over a little bit left, it didn't get away from me. It's just the perfect length. It's just gone a little bit left because I had the face a fraction closed. So how do we set up for this shot? Firstly, very similar to the 3-yard swing. If you've not seen it, then you want to have a look at that video, but I'm going to repeat the fundamentals. My body is open. I don't need to try and force the club past my left side, my lead side. Don't stand too square, and don't stand too static. 2 don'ts. I don't like using the word don't, he says, saying don't to lead that statement. I prefer to focus on why we need to be out the way. We need to get past the left side, the lead side. We need to get through the ball. That happens only when this side is out the way, or I've got swing speed that will get it out the way for me. This doesn't have any swing speed. We're going to strike the golf ball somewhere in the region of, well, you think it was snowing, somewhere in the region of 6-7 miles an hour. There's not a lot of speed here. So this very short swing, even if you got to 10 miles an hour, needs to land the golf ball 5 yards in front of me. So that one just got off a little bit to the right hand side and caught the edge of the fringe and died. So that would arguably say that the loft wasn't right, which it wasn't, but the face was open, which is adding a little bit of loft. Ball position, body out the way. Okay, left side out the way, lead side. There are some lefties watching, I know. Lead side out the way. Recognise where I want to send the golf ball. Look down the line and identify that. Pick a spot to line the club face up with. My path is going to follow that and then move on the inside track. I never swing outside the target line. The target line, the club will always stay inside the target line. These little chip shots, remember, club below the knee is a chip, club above the knee, moving into the waist high position, that's your pitch. Pitching, because he's going to release, it's a forward moving shot, but he's going to pitch a lot further. If we stick to that, we know what we're talking about. Line the club face up on the ground where I want to go. Ball now is towards the back half of my stance. My trail elbow is in line with the golf ball. I could move it back just a fraction, that will help the contact. Don't get too far forward with these. You don't want to be flipping in the air. You don't want the low point to be back here. Likewise, you don't want the trail elbow, I'm using don'ts, you want the trail elbow to keep moving. And if the lead side is out the way, it will keep moving. I know I caught that a little thin, but not a disaster for a little thin. We can all hit a little thin. All right. So these little shots now, the elbow keeps moving. And notice my body, my chest is facing the target now. So it's fluid. Problems around the greens occur when there is a lack of fluidity and it kind of becomes a bit stabby. And yeah, we can, but you've got to be very precise. You know, I did back in the day, had the ball back in the stance, moved it in here, drove it in. And, you know, I had a lot of shots that's got a chance. Oh, I had a lot of shots that would do that. They'd be running at the hole. They would stand a chance of going in. I did hole a few shots, a lot of shots around the greens. I was pretty dangerous with these 50-degree-ish wedges. And that's what we had back in the day. So that's a way of playing it, but it requires a degree of precision that even the best players in the world don't have all the time. We saw Tiger's woes a dozen or so years ago when he had a bit of time off and then came back. A little bit of grain, a little bit of grass growing into you, your angle of attack is so precise, or needs to be so precise, we've got to be able to get it onto the club. So, ball forward-ish, not so far back that we end up dropping the club down on the ground. Trail arm, elbow, in line with the golf ball. Lower body, open so that we can get through the shot. And then a little turn with the chest. This is what's happening here. It's not a hand movement. You've got to move the handle. If you just move the golf club, which is what we tend to do in this stabby one, there's no forward momentum in the handle. Keep the handle moving. Elbow over the top of the ball. Okay, ball under the elbow. Turn the chest. About 1.5 yards of movement. Lovely. All right, through the ball. I slowed up a little, all right, but it was a static backswing. It's a drill you can use, but ultimately you're prone to hitting that occasionally, okay? It's not something you do on the course. So back, see if I can do it again. Well, not the same shot, all right? Back, about 1.5 yards, through the ball. Keep going. There we go. It's kicked a little to the right, but that's a good strike, landed 5 yards in front of me. So this is what we're trying to achieve here. Doing it with the chest moving. Right shoulder, trail side is light, it's floating and keeps moving through the shot. And if we do that, see if we can get one to go in. Oh, it stood a chance if those balls hadn't have been in the way. So that's the fundamentals. If you practice the 3 and 5 yard swing, these little chip shots around the greens, remember, club head doesn't go above the knee if you're hitting a chip shot. Chip shots are generally speaking going to go no more than about 7 yards. Somewhere between a couple and 7 or 8 yards will be a maximum length of chip shot. And then you can start to look at what loft are you going to use in order that you can get the golf ball as close to that flag as possible. Andy Gorman-ThePASS, the putting and short game specialist, helping you with your wedge shots around the greens. I look forward to seeing you next time.